Hey, what's up, guys? So we're back with more Fallout content. If you're new channel, welcome. So I did check out a video by Echo. So shout out credit goes to Echo for this video as well. And it was every single Fallout faction that was explained that was in the Fallout universe. But however, now we're going to be checking out every single Fallout faction leader explained. So the last video did explain some leaders here and there. I forgot what his name was. The leader of the Brotherhood of Steel, but he unfortunately died, and basically his ideology and point of view for the Brotherhood of Steel took a whole different direction. And also, Caesar, who is in charge of the Caesar's Legion, and how they're basically slavers and like a dictatorship, just like some leaders here and there. But however, we're going to be checking out every single Fallout faction leader explained. So there are going to be some that are going to be repeated, like I mentioned, those two leaders, and there are going to be some that are going to be brand new. So without anything else, let's just jump right into it.
The wasteland of Fallout is full of warring factions, each trying to stamp their authority on the post-apocalyptic landscape full of crumbling cities, arid deserts, and echoing underground labs. Today, we're breaking down the current faction leaders at the most recent point in the Fallout timeline, roughly the year 2287. We're going to be examining each leader to understand their character, backstory, and how they came to power. Let's strap on our Pip-Boy and find out about every current Fallout faction leader. By 2287, Arthur Maxson is the present leader of the militaristic, old technology-obsessed Brotherhood of Steel, where he holds the prestigious title of Elder. As the latest in a long line of Maxsons at the head of the Brotherhood, Arthur carries the heavy legacy of the
So, Roger Maxson was the leader that was mentioned in the faction video. So this one is... So Arthur is kind of new to me.
Brotherhood's founder, Roger Maxson, of whom he is a direct descendant. His upbringing, steeped in the Brotherhood's traditions, with rigorous training in both combat and strategy to prepare him for his future role, and his familial connection to the Brotherhood's origins, have shaped Arthur's life from birth, placing immense expectations on his shoulders. At just 16, Arthur was groomed to embody the ideals of the Brotherhood and to assume the mantle of leadership. His rise to power came during a time of crisis, as the Brotherhood was weakened by internal divisions and heavy losses. Battles against formidable foes like the Enclave, the remnants of the US government, had sent the faction reeling. Despite his preparation, Arthur's rise to the position of Elder wasn't without its challenges. He faced
Hail to you, stranger. I am Squire Maxson, loyal servant of Steel. Squire and Knights. I forgot.
From some within the Brotherhood due to his youth, but he overcame these naysayers through decisive action, demonstrating a balance of tactical brilliance and unyielding commitment to the Brotherhood's mission. Arthur rallied the Brotherhood's eastern forces by aggressively refocusing on their core mission. Their primary campaigns were to secure pre-war technology and combat the Institute, an advanced organization responsible for creating artificial humans known as synths, and he established a commanding presence in the Commonwealth, a loose scattering of major settlements near Boston. A shrewd and focused leader, Arthur Maxson embodies the Brotherhood's ideology that technology must be safeguarded and controlled to prevent the mistakes of the past. Under his command in Fallout 4, the Brotherhood's mission extends to targeting synths, which they view as abominations of unchecked technological ambition.
That's a big robot.
To Maxson and the Brotherhood, synths symbolize the reckless disregard for caution that defined the old world, which led to its ultimate downfall. And their determination to eliminate synths reflects the broader commitment to curbing dangerous technologies. Maxson inspires loyalty from his soldiers and strikes fear into the Brotherhood's enemies, with the airship Pridewind looming ominously over the Commonwealth as a testament to their power. Arthur's strict commitment to the Brotherhood's goals has drawn criticism for its extreme methods, both from within the Brotherhood and from outside factions. Some within the organization question the morality of his uncompromising stance, while external groups, particularly those targeted by the Brotherhood such as synth sympathizers and independent settlements, view his approach as oppressive and authoritarian. This internal and external
they're going to see it that way.
Highlights that Maxson's Brotherhood is not without its challenges. Despite this, Arthur Maxson remains a strong symbol of the Brotherhood's strength, ambition, and unstoppable purpose, commanding respect and fear in equal measure. Arthur Maxson's leadership sharply contrasts with the brutal power utilized by the next leader, who forged an empire through bloody conquest of the wasteland. Caesar.
Okay, here we go. We're going to go into Caesar. But so the Brotherhood of Steel's main enemy is the synths, because in the TV show, basically, it didn't really state who the main enemy was, except for the NCR, the New California Republic. But I just didn't know how much they were going after synths, synths and synth sympathizers. Okay, let's see. Continue on with Caesar.
born Edward Sallow, is the founder and supreme leader of Caesar's Legion, a faction based in the Mojave Desert near New Vegas. His path to power began during his time with the Followers of the Apocalypse, a faction dedicated to education and healing where he served as a scholar. During an expedition to tribal lands, Sallow was captured by the Blackfoot tribe. Instead of giving up, he saw an opportunity to assert control. Using his extensive knowledge of military strategy and his obsession with Roman history, Caesar transformed the Blackfoot tribe from a struggling group into a dominant force. His fascination began after uncovering pre-war books.
Sorry, guys. I was looking at my phone because there was a message asking me, "Hey, are you able to do this fitness test tomorrow?" Things like that. So I'm really sorry because it was kind of urgent. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. I do apologize for that distraction.
Knowledge of military strategy and his obsession with Roman history, Caesar transformed the Blackfoot tribe from a struggling group into a dominant force. His fascination began after uncovering pre-war books on Roman history and Julius Caesar's memoirs, which heavily influenced his worldview. Drawing from these texts, he reorganized and trained the Blackfoot, molding them into a disciplined and militaristic
so that's
society.
what they're called.
Under his leadership, they conquered neighboring tribes, laying the foundation for what would become Caesar's Legion. The Legion became a militaristic society built on the principles of conquest, slavery, and unshakable loyalty to their leader.
So basically, Caesar's Legion is basically the Roman Empire like rebuilt into America. And what I'm trying to figure out is like how were they able to like get those armors and like the hair and everything like that? Like where did they get it from? I mean, I guess maybe they have blacksmiths and people who can like craft the armor to make it look like that. But the hair itself, I don't know where they got it.
This transformation is particularly striking given Caesar's origins as a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse, a peaceful organization dedicated to preserving knowledge and aiding others. His shift in ideology underscores the profound impact of his Roman inspirations. A brilliant public speaker, highly intelligent, and deeply philosophical, Caesar punishes dissent severely, while generously rewarding loyalty, and justifies his brutality as a necessary means to restore order to the wasteland. One of the defining characteristics of the Legion is their absolute loyalty to Caesar. His followers are so devoted that they often commit suicide rather than face the disgrace of capture. Crucifixion, a hallmark.
I don't know why, but him just saying like the suicide makes me think about like the samurai seppuku who do the ritual suicide. But I mean, so they basically see Caesar as a god.
Hallmark of the Legion's methods is wielded not just as a punishment, but as a weapon of terror, aimed at intimidating their enemies and quashing rebellion among conquered populations. For Caesar, these acts of brutality are not senseless, but deliberate tools to solidify his authority and maintain the Legion's dominance. However, his ego and obsession with his legacy reveal cracks in his otherwise indomitable character. Caesar's ambitions brought him into direct conflict with the New California Republic, a democratic and expansionist faction whose ideals of governance and civilization stood in stark contrast to the authoritarian rule of the Legion.
Okay, so the New California Republic is the main enemy of Caesar's Legion due to its ideal differences.
Rivalry defined much of his later conquests, with the Battle of Hoover Dam serving as the focal point of their struggle for dominance in the Mojave Wasteland. By 2287, Caesar is likely dead, having succumbed to a fatal brain tumor, unless the Legion storyline path is chosen, which involves his survival through surgical intervention. This fact is crucial if one considers the current leadership of the Wasteland, as Caesar's death would leave the Legion fractured and vulnerable without its central figure. Ultimately, Caesar's story is one of ambition and the extreme lengths a man will go to reshape the world in his own image, no matter the cost. From the brutality of Caesar's Legion, we move to a leader whose intellect and scientific genius has redefined the very nature of humanity. Sean, known as Father to his followers, is the current leader of the Institute. The Institute is a shadowy organization operating beneath the Commonwealth in an underground lab, only accessible via teleportation technology. The Institute's main goal is to advance humanity through accessible. The Institute is a shadowy organization operating beneath the Commonwealth in an underground lab, only accessible via teleportation technology.
Wow, you can only get there through teleportation? I did not know that. That is so cool. But that would be the most secure way of keeping it safe. But Director Sean, the face looks familiar. I've seen it somewhere before, I think in like a clip for Fallout 4, but so I'm guessing the Institute, you encountered them in Fallout 4. I may be wrong. Sorry, guys.
The Institute's main goal is to advance humanity through cutting-edge scientific research with a particular focus on creating advanced synthetic humans, or synths. While their work includes replacing select individuals with synths for experimental, surveillance, or control purposes, their intent is not to eradicate humanity, but to shape its future according to their vision of progress, often ignoring the moral consequences of their actions.
The synths are
Father's
like
story begins
Terminators.
with tragedy. As an infant, Sean was kidnapped from Vault 111, a cryogenic facility, by the Institute to serve as the basis for their genetic research. The sole survivor, his parent, was left frozen in stasis, unaware of Sean's fate for over 60 years. Raised within the walls of the Institute, Sean...
Okay, now I put it together. So I do remember that from Fallout 4. So it is Fallout 4. I remember you were in cryo and they woke up your wife or husband if you chose to play male or female. So the baby that was taken is Director Sean. So your child is the leader of the Institute, basically.
Sean grew up surrounded by brilliant scientists and cutting-edge technology, quickly rising to prominence. This familial connection adds a deeply personal layer to the conflict in Fallout 4, as the sole survivor must grapple with the revelation that their lost child has become the undisputed leader of the very organization they must oppose. Sean's untainted pre-war DNA was the reason for his abduction by the Institute, as they needed a pristine genetic template to develop their advanced Gen 3 synths. These synthetic humans, nearly identical to real people, sparked ethical and existential dilemmas across the wasteland.
So that's why they wanted Sean.
Sean was known as the father of the synths due to his unique role in their creation, a title he held even as a child. As he grew older, his brilliance and pragmatism earned him the position of director, where he oversaw the Institute's most significant advancements and solidified its dominance as a technological powerhouse in the post-apocalyptic world. Sean sees the Institute as humanity's last hope, a bastion of progress and scientific achievement, but his vision comes at the moral cost of dismissing the people of the surface world as lost causes, holding no true value. Sean's logical personality is evident in his decision-making, often opting for solutions that prioritize the future of the Institute over the well-being of the Commonwealth's people. His emotionally detached nature is clear when discussing the synths and the role they play in his vision of humanity's future, representing the next stage in human evolution. At the same time, his position as both director of the Institute and the long-lost child of the heroic sole survivor adds a deeply personal complication to the story. Sean justifies his detachment from his family by framing his actions as necessary for the survival of humanity, even when those actions come at great moral cost. A striking example of this cost is the massacre of the Commonwealth Provisional Government, an event that occurred after diplomatic talks with the Institute fell apart. This violent act marked the Institute's shift towards operating in secrecy and reinforced its reputation as a ruthless and untrustworthy force in the wasteland. For Sean, such decisions were driven by the belief that the Institute's vision of humanity's future outweighed the ethical compromises made along the way. While Sean acknowledges his parents' presence in his life, the nature of their relationship varies greatly depending on the sole survivor's choices. For a parent aligned with the Institute, their bond can become deeply significant, culminating in Sean selecting them as their successor, a profoundly emotional decision that entrusts his legacy to a complete outsider.
My mother is
bound
my
to the
successor?
Institute only through blood. Conversely, if the sole survivor opposes the Institute by joining factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, their relationship becomes that of a bitter rivalry, with Sean viewing them as an obstacle to the Institute's vision of progress. In either case, Sean's...
So basically, this could go either way. I mean, then again, I remember Fallout being like a game with like multiple choices and endings. So you can either have a really good relationship with your son, and you could become the successor and the next leader of the Institute, or you could be the enemy and take down the Institute, and I guess with the really hard choice of killing your own child.
His focus on the Institute's goals remains unwavering, as he believes it to be humanity's only path forward. This duality between personal ties and clinical goals reflects Sean's inner conflict and highlights the complexity of his motivations. While he is fiercely confident in his beliefs, his connection to the sole survivor reveals the tension between his logical drive for progress and the compassion he harbors, seemingly only towards his parent. Sean embodies the broader struggle between progress and morality, serving as the logical choice for humanity's future, while the sole survivor, depending on their path, often represents the compassionate alternative, such as the Railroad. His story forces us to question whether humanity can truly survive without compassion, or if science and logic alone are enough to rebuild civilization. But not all leaders rely on science or power alone. Some fight for freedom and equality, even in the shadows. Desdemona is the leader of the Railroad, a group dedicated to freeing synths from the Institute. She is passionate and determined, and her leadership rests on her own strong beliefs and strategic mind. Desdemona believes that synths are not just machines, but living beings who deserve freedom and the same rights as humans. This belief drives everything she does, and it's why she works so hard to protect them from the Institute. Desdemona first joined the railroad
that's
in
pretty noble.
2276 under the leadership of Pinky Thompson, with whom she butted heads with regularly over a series of tactical failures and Institute raids on the railroad's safe houses. Eventually, Pinky stepped down, and Desdemona became the leader. Desdemona, alongside railroad agents Deacon and Dr. Carrington, made major changes to the railroad's operations, massively increasing the number of rescued synths. As a leader, Desdemona is tough and inspires loyalty in her followers. She knows the danger they face, but she never backs down. Her decisions are carefully considered, often planning moves in secret to avoid detection by the Institute or other enemies. One striking example of her willingness to take risks is the Battle of Bunker Hill, a dramatic and pivotal conflict that saw the railroad facing off against both the Brotherhood of Steel and the Institute in a three-way battle. The battle took place at the Bunker Hill Monument, where the railroad had gathered to protect a group of synths.
Wait, that's the National Monument. So now the National Monument turned into a bunker monument?
Attempting to escape the Institute's grasp. Desdemona's leadership was crucial as she directed her forces with precision, ensuring that the railroad's hidden operations were not revealed to the Institute or the Brotherhood. The Institute, intent on reclaiming the runaway synths, and the Brotherhood, focused on eradicating the threat posed by both the Institute and the synths, relentlessly clashed with the railroad's forces. Despite overwhelming odds, Desdemona led.
So the railroad kind of like, in a way, got caught in the crossfire, so to speak, because the Brotherhood wants to destroy them, the Institute wants to recapture them, and they have basically what both sides want. So, that's going to be difficult.
Led the charge, willing to sacrifice everything to protect the synths and maintain the railroad's mission. The battle was intense, with all three factions suffering heavy losses, but it solidified Desdemona's reputation as a leader who would go to any length to achieve her goals, even in the face of total destruction. Despite her strengths, Desdemona can be stubborn. She is unwilling to compromise on her beliefs, even when it puts railroad agents in danger. For example, she insists on continuing high-risk synth extractions from heavily guarded Institute facilities, despite warnings from some of the agents that the missions could lead to catastrophic losses. She believes that every synth's freedom is worth any cost, even if that means endangering the railroad's limited resources and personnel. Sometimes, her unwillingness to find a middle ground can cause tension with allies. She puts the mission first, even if that means making hard choices or sacrifices, which can be difficult for others to understand. But her commitment to the cause is clear, and it's this determination that makes her an inspiring leader. Desdemona's courage and willingness to act when others might hesitate is one of her defining qualities, whether it's a secret operation or a direct confrontation.
So she's a great leader because she's able to inspire others with her conviction and commitment to the cause. But the problem is, since she's so stubborn, she's going to cause so many tactical errors. She's going to cause very high casualties, and she's not willing to negotiate. So that's going to be a problem when making allies. So basically, in a way, she's good at what she does when it comes to saving the synths, but however, she's basically isolating herself, and no one's gonna want to help her because she's too stubborn.
She is always fighting for the railroad's goal of freeing synths. She refuses to compromise her ideals, even in the harsh world of the Commonwealth, and she stands as a symbol of resistance, fighting for the freedom of all beings. If the railroad succeeds, Desdemona's legacy will be one of fighting for what's right, no matter the cost. She'll be remembered as a leader who stood up for the oppressed and worked tirelessly to create a better world. Her story is one of personal sacrifice and strong beliefs, and she remains a figure who believes in a future where everyone, human and synth alike, can live free. From covert operations to open militias, the next leader fights out in the open for unity and survival in the harsh Commonwealth. Preston Garvey is the de facto leader of the Minutemen, a militia dedicated to protecting settlers and farmers, rebuilding the Commonwealth one settlement at a time. The heart and soul of the Minutemen operation, Preston's endless positivity and hopeful attitude inspire those around him. However, Preston's drive is rooted in a tragic past, a brutal betrayal at Quincy, a small town in the southeastern section of the Commonwealth. At Quincy, the Minutemen faced off against their enemies, the Gunners, a ruthless mercenary faction.
And the one betrayed them.
Once the Minutemen arrived, they were betrayed by one of their own, a man named Clint. He defected to the Gunners along with his troops and helped nearly wipe out the Minutemen. Preston was one of the few survivors, and the Minutemen faction collapsed. Rather than abandoning his commitment to the Minutemen ideals, Preston chose to rebuild the faction from the ground up. He works tirelessly to rally settlers and farmers to help establish safe communities, inspiring hope in a broken world. Preston is a humble leader, not seeking power for himself, but using it to raise up those more capable or less fortunate. A clear example of this humility is when Preston elects the sole survivor as the general of the Minutemen, Rather than
Oh,
taking the
shit.
title himself, he chooses to remain a loyal soldier for the cause, putting the success of the Minutemen above personal ambition. Preston's personality stands in complete contrast to the tragedy he endured at Quincy.
By the way, that's a really nice vest he's got on. I just want to say that.
Instead of succumbing to the hopelessness and despair, he believes that the Commonwealth can be a safer, better place for everyone. While his constant calls for assistance can be a little tiring for some, his persistence reflects his determination to never give up on his people and his goal. On the other side of the wasteland, one leader takes on a very different approach, mixing charisma, rebellion, and classic rock and roll. The King is the leader of the faction called the Kings, based in Freeside, a town just outside the New Vegas Strip. The Kings are a gang of Elvis impersonators, their members sporting the iconic Pompadour's hairdo and dazzling outfits. This quirky aspect of their identity, however, does nothing to undermine the respect for their leader. The King's birth name is never revealed in the storyline of Fallout New Vegas, leaving us no choice but to hail to the King, baby. He adopted Elvis Presley's aesthetic when he stumbled upon a building called the School of Impersonation, a training camp for pre-war Las Vegas's many Elvis impersonators. The King fell in love with its teachings and was fascinated by Elvis's persona. Fully adopting Presley's attitude and swagger, he began to bring order to the streets of Freeside.
I wonder what Elvis Presley's thoughts would be if he actually saw something like this.
The King's charm, wit, and down-to-earth personality made him a natural leader. His loyal dog, Rex, also playing a major role in his leadership, often seen by his side and endearing him even further to the people. His leadership style isn't about power or conquest. It's about maintaining order and ensuring his people are protected. His main goal is to ensure the voices of his followers are heard and that the vulnerable are given help and protection. The Kings operate more like a mix of local law enforcement and town councilors, maintaining law and order while fostering a sense of community. Despite their sometimes rough exterior, their primary mission is to uphold a sense of justice in the chaotic Mojave. The King's relationship with the NCR is more complicated, as his gang is caught between the respect for their authority and a desire to maintain independence. He's also had to contend with squatters, often finding himself in the role of mediator between the NCR and those trying to carve out a life in Freeside. This delicate balance between standing up to outside forces and maintaining peace within Freeside showcases the King's dedication to his people, ensuring they are protected while navigating the complex politics of the Mojave. In a world ravaged by war and cruelty, the King's story is a refreshing reminder of humanity's ability to find hope and inspiration in unlikely places. He proves that leadership doesn't always come from ambition or brutality. Sometimes it comes from kindness and a sense of justice. Next,
they kind of sound like the Minutemen of the Mojave Desert in a way.
We look at a leader whose fanaticism reshapes his followers
into
extremism. High Confessor Tectus leads the Children of Atom in the remote and mysterious Far Harbor, located off the coast of the Commonwealth.
Oh yeah, so I do, when it came to the faction video, I am so happy I watched it in this order, because if I watched this video first and then I saw the faction video, then I'll be confused out of my mind. So Children of Atom, they grew up in radiation, so they built a natural immunity to it, and they believe like radiation is like a gift from God, so they'll literally pray it. So it sounds like this is the religious group in the games.
Unlike his predecessor, the more moderate and peaceful High Confessor Martin, Tectus rose to power through manipulation and a harsh, uncompromising doctrine, shifting the faction towards extremism. Under his leadership, the Children of Atom became a fanatical force, driven by belief in the divinity of nuclear radiation and the power of Atom, the symbol of their faith. Tectus has positioned himself as a prophet of Atom, using fear and feverish devotion to maintain control over his followers. His sermons are filled with apocalyptic visions, portraying himself as the chosen one who will lead the world into a new era of divine radiation.
Man, look
his
at
rise
that.
to power is marked
Right
by
above his
paranoia, cruelty, and a complete intolerance for dissent. Those who challenge his authority are publicly accused of heresy and either exiled or executed, ensuring that no one dares to question his leadership. Under Tectus's rule, the Children of Atom embrace increasingly extreme beliefs. New converts are forced to endure dangerous doses of radiation to prove their unwavering faith, and dissenters within the ranks face violent purges. Tectus's obsession with purifying the Commonwealth in Atom's name leads him to plan attacks on nearby settlements, branding outsiders as quote-unquote blasphemers, deserving of eradication. His brutal enforcement of Atom's teachings solidifies his iron grip on the Children of Atom, while driving away potential allies and sowing chaos in the region. Tectus is a cunning and ambitious leader whose true motivations are rooted in his desire for power and control. While he presents himself as a spiritual guide, his actions reveal a leader who manipulates faith for personal gain. The Children of Atom's story under Tectus serves as a warning about the dangers of religious extremism and the dark potential of faith being twisted to serve the ambitions of a few. Next, we turn to a leader whose compassion and intellect guide a different vision of leadership. as he strives to create a sanctuary for those who have been cast aside by the world. Dima is the thoughtful and reserved leader of Acadia, a sanctuary for synths on the island of Far Harbor in Fallout 4's Far Harbor expansion. Unlike most of his kind, Dima transcended the Institute's cold programming, developing a unique sense of identity and compassion. His leadership is driven by a deep desire to protect synths from the persecution they face, not only from the Institute, but also from the hostile world around them.
He looks pretty cool though.
With its radiation and dangerous wildlife, may be harsh, but to Dima and the synths, it offers the chance of autonomy and safety in a world that views them as little more than machines. Dima's leadership of Acadia is shaped by his understanding of both synths and humans. He seeks to create a peaceful haven where synths can live freely, without fear of destruction. Unlike the Institute's cold, utilitarian approach to their creations, Dima envisions a future where synths can define their own identities and live in harmony with those who accept them. His leadership is marked by calmness, logic, and a strong moral compass, even in the face of the many challenges he faces, both from external threats and from within the vile politics of Far Harbor. However, Dima's vision of peace is not without its trials. The tense relationship between the human residents of Far Harbor, the children of Adam, and the synths living in Acadia constantly threaten his fragile sanctuary. Some view Dima's position with suspicion due to his origins as a synth, and others question his desire to protect his people from the outside world. The arrival of the sole survivor further complicates matters, offering choices that could either support or dismantle Dima's mission depending on the player's actions. Dima's story is one of self-determination and the pursuit of peace, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. His leadership embodies the struggle for identity and the hope for a better future, reflecting the complexities of being more than just a machine and striving for a future that's far more than mere survival. Next,
I don't know why, but it really does remind me of Detroit Become Human. But either way, so judging by like this group of like Dima and protecting like runaway synths, it sounds like he basically, I mean, like he's got like so many like vials and like things like sticking out of him. I don't know what the purpose of those are, but it sounds like he's a really cool character, and I don't know what the right word is. Like he could be very cooperative in a way, but I wonder if there's a chance to like replace him as the leader, because it sounds like you can become the leader of almost any faction that you encounter. The Brotherhood of Steel, the Minutemen, the Institute. So I wonder if there's a chance for that as well for this group as well.
We turn to a leader whose vision of the future is rooted in control and self-preservation, reshaping an entire city to reflect his unyielding ambition. Mr. House is the enigmatic leader of New Vegas, a city reborn from the ashes of the old world. A name.
So basically, when we saw, by the way, spoiler alert, if you guys haven't seen the TV show, if at the end of the season we saw New Vegas out in the distance. Many people thought it was Seattle because of the Space Needle, but I knew it was New Vegas because, like I said, I did play the game but didn't finish it when I was younger. And it just occurred to me now that if New Vegas is going to be in Season 2, then that means we are definitely going to be encountering Mr. House.
A name that echoes through the neon-lit streets of the Strip, Mr. House is more than just a casino boss. He is the guiding hand behind the city's revitalization. Originally born Robert House, his story is one of survival, ambition, and
How did I not put two and two together? So yeah, we already saw him in the first season, so I wonder how he's going to look like in the second season.
Technological mastery. Through a combination of pre-war wealth, intellect, and some very creative science, House managed to preserve himself in a state of suspended animation for over 2 centuries. When the world outside descended into chaos, he woke up to find a desolate Mojave wasteland, but his vision for New Vegas was clear, a city where he could once again reign supreme. Mr. House's leadership is defined by his cold, calculating nature and an obsession with control. Unlike others in the Mojave, he doesn't seek to conquer or impose his will through brute force. Instead, he relies on his immense wealth, technological superiority, and a tightly controlled network of loyalists to maintain his grip on power. The casinos of the Strip are his empire, a glittering jewel in the desert that attracts the attention of tourists and power brokers alike. House's focus is on maintaining the status quo, ensuring that New Vegas remains a thriving beacon of prosperity, free from the interference of the NCR, the Legion, or any other faction that might seek to disrupt his carefully crafted vision. His charm lies in his calculated charisma. He speaks with the confidence of a man who knows he has all the answers, and his word is law in New Vegas. Those who align with him are rewarded, enjoying
Vault
the luxury
21.
of the strip's glittering lights and the protection of his Securitron army. House is a master of persuasion, often appealing to the self-interest of others, convincing them that their best interests lie in supporting his regime. At the same time, he remains distant, his true motivations and desires locked behind the cold exterior of a man who has seen it all and comes out on top. His relationship with the NCR is one of mutual disdain. While the NCR seeks to expand its influence and bring the Mojave into its fold, House sees them as a threat to his independence and the freedom he's carved out for himself in New Vegas.
Makes
He refuses
sense.
to bow to their pencil-pushing demands and instead prefers to keep NCR at arm's length, maintaining his independence while offering a tempting alternative to their rule. His relationship with the other factions, such as the Brotherhood of Steel and Caesar's Legion, is similarly strained, as none can fully grasp the extent of his ambitions or the lengths he's willing to go to achieve them. While
So he's
some
pretty
view
much
Mr.
alone.
House as a visionary, others see him as a tyrant in disguise, manipulating the people of New Vegas to serve his own ends. His reliance on technology, particularly his army of Securitrons and the advanced systems that power his casinos, creates a sense of detachment from the human element of his leadership. He is a man who trusts machines more than people, a ruler who believes that the future of civilization lies in control and order, even if it means sacrificing personal freedom in the process. In a world where chaos reigns and survival is a daily struggle, Mr. House represents the potential for order and prosperity, but at a price. His vision of New Vegas is one of stability, but it's a stability that demands loyalty and subservience. For House, the ends always justify the means, and if that means using technology to maintain power or turning a blind eye to the suffering of others, so be it. His story is one of a man who saw an opportunity to rebuild, not just a city, but a legacy, one that will likely outlive all those who dare to challenge him. Next, we shift to a leader whose obsession with intellect and experimentation has led him down a far more disturbing path, where the line between genius and madness is dangerously blurred. Dr. Klein is the
So House is basically just like he wants to just control what he has already, just maintain it and control. There's no need to expand. There's no need to reach out or things like that. But the fact that it's mentioned that he doesn't really have any allies, so he's pretty much alone, unless maybe he could reach out to some of the other vaults, because, you know, as we saw on Project Safe House in that council room, maybe he still has some really good ties with the other company members, like maybe Hank McClain and those guys. So maybe he can build an alliance with them if he manages to find some of the vaults. So this next one, Dr.
leader of the
Clean, I don't know anything about this one. This one is brand new to me, but let me go back a little bit.
line between genius and madness is dangerously blurred. Dr. Klein is the leader
Klein.
of the mysterious and twisted scientific enclave known as the Think Tank, based in the Big MT research facility at the edge of the
Think
Mojave.
Tank.
Once a brilliant scientist, Dr. Klein's transformation into an unhinged, yet oddly charismatic leader is the result of his obsession with knowledge and the pursuit of intellectual dominance. Preserved in an automated mechanical shell, serves as a testament to his unwavering commitment to advancing human intellect, no matter the cost to his humanity or anyone else's. Dr. Klein's leadership is marked by an unhealthy fixation on experimentation and control. Leading the think tank, he commands a group of eccentric and morally bankrupt scientists who, much like him, have rejected any ethical boundaries in the pursuit
look
of
at him.
mad science. The think tank's operations are cloaked in secrecy, with their experiments often crossing lines into the truly bizarre.
So no
Dr. Klein's
morals.
vision for the future is one where science reigns supreme, and knowledge is wielded with a scalpel's precision, though he can no longer hold one himself. However, that knowledge comes at the price of hundreds of lives, ethical concerns, and the very soul of humanity itself. In many ways, Dr. Klein's leadership is a reflection of his own distorted worldview. With his mechanical body and fragmented personality, he embodies the ideas that the pursuit of knowledge can become an all-consuming obsession. His methods are extreme, often involving dangerous technological innovations that disregard the safety or well-being of those involved, to which the brainless lobotomites that roam the Big MT can attest. Despite his undeniable madness, there's a strange charm to Dr. Klein's rhetoric, as he believes himself to be the savior of humanity through the application of unyielding scientific progress. His followers, too, are drawn into his web, convinced that the path to salvation lies in the cold logic of the think tank's experiments, even if it means sacrificing others along the way. While Dr. Klein's leadership is rooted in the pursuit of knowledge, his relationship with the outside world is one of detachment and disregard. He often views anyone trickling in from outside Big MT as a mere pawn or test subject to further his scientific endeavors. However, His attempts at creating a world shaped by experimentation and progress are often undermined by the chaos of the wasteland, and his plans for a perfect future come off as less about the greater good and more about his own delusions of grandeur. Dr. Klein's legacy, much like his leadership, is one of distorted genius and ethical blindness. His experiments in
Yeah, he's got no ethical boundaries, no morals, nothing. He says there's no limits. This is all necessary and things like that. But I mean, what are those like creatures? Like right there, like the ones with the skulls. If you guys happen to know what they're called, please put down in the comments.
Obsessions have left a trail of corruption and madness in their wake, with the think tank's members often unable to see the consequences of their actions. In the end, his vision of a society ruled by intellect is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the loss of humanity in the name of progress. Next, we look at a leader whose quest for understanding and self-knowledge leads to a more compassionate yet still complex vision for the future. The Mechanist is an eccentric and mysterious leader of a faction of robots in the Fallout 4 DLC.
Oh, he's got a cape.
Once an individual with a desire to protect the Commonwealth, the Mechanist's obsession with technology and the pursuit of justice eventually led down a darker path. Initially known for fighting to protect the innocent, the Mechanist became convinced that only an army of robots could bring true safety and order to the wasteland. This belief transformed them into a feared and revered figure, commanding a growing army of sentient machines to impose their vision of justice.
Shit.
The Mechanist's leadership is driven by the belief in the superiority of robots and their potential to create a better, more orderly future.
Dude's got
They
a
view
factory.
human weakness as something to be overcome through robotics, believing machines can replace the chaotic, lawless nature of the post-apocalyptic world. To protect the people of the Commonwealth, they advocate for an extreme solution, imposing mechanical order, with robots serving as enforcers of their version of law. Central to the Mechanist's operations is their impressive collection of robots, controlled from the Mechanist's
Quantum
lair, a
Junkbot.
high-tech facility filled with cutting-edge technology. These robots, varying in size and function, are designed to seek out and punish those who violate the Mechanist's law. While their creations showcase the Mechanist's technological genius, they also reflect their belief that machines are the key to a stable future. Despite their apparent desire to protect the Commonwealth, the Mechanist's methods reveal a dangerous detachment from human
Wait, he's got a
concerns.
Pip-Boy.
Their rigid insistence on robotic control and disregard for human autonomy highlight the risks of extreme technological idealism. The Mechanist's vision of peace relies on removing the human element, subjugating the Commonwealth in favor of mechanical enforcers who operate with cold precision. The Mechanist's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked technological advancements and the ethical consequences of relying too heavily on machines to impose order. While their intentions may be noble, their approach raises critical questions about the loss of humanity in the pursuit of perfection. Fallout's faction leaders are
So basically, he's saying machines are the future, not humanity.
diverse and captivating as the wasteland itself. While some are driven by noble goals, others will sacrifice anything for a chance at power. One thing's for certain though, the choices the player makes with these factions will shape the wasteland enormously. That wraps up our look at every faction leader in Fallout. Which faction leader do you think has the best vision for the wasteland? And which piece of Fallout lore should we cover next?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. These videos are making me want to play Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 again, but this time completion. Now, when it comes to the leaders, I say the most noble one is Preston Garvey, because he's the humble one and he is doing it just for goodness and all that, while some are just like keeping to themselves, like Mr. House, Dr. Klein, and there are those who are trying to expand and become stronger, like Caesar. I mean, but however, there are so many different factions out there that it's really cool to see that there are different like factions to like control or become the leader of, or different factions to destroy or to be allies with. There's just like so many opportunities in these games. So like I said, I am really interested in playing Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 again, but I just don't know when I might get to it or if people actually want to see me play. So, but either way, this was a really great video, and again, shout out and credit goes to Echo for the video, and he did a great job as always. So that's all I got for today, guys. So thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video, and also shout out to all my members, subscribers, viewers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I really do appreciate it. So without anything else, see you guys next time.